So this is my psychology degree. I used it to get a job at HR, but that sucked. So I wrote a Lovecraftian horror instead, for 5 years. I went all in, with no backup plans, no plans for the future. Did I just waste my life? Ancient astronaut theory would say yes, but I would like to keep the hope alive. I'm scared. So let's dive in. Hello, my name is Rex and welcome to my channel. I'm a newbie writer and Haunteds is the first book I've ever written. So I really didn't expect it to win the What is 2020 award or for Wattpad Webtoon Studio to buy the rights for a screen adaptation and publishing deal. Apologies in advance. Throughout this video, I won't be able to give you specifics regarding the contract, NDA and stuff, so sorry. Now there had been solid interest in my book. In fact, before Wattpad bought my book, there was actually another local studio who first messaged me on Wattpad. But I decided to go with Wattpad because Wattpad's offers is for both screen adaptation and book publishing. Again, without disclosing too much, all I can say is that Wattpad had one major video streaming platform in the Philippines interested in adapting Haunteds, so much so that Wattpad bought the rights from me at this point. Then there was a local publisher in the Philippines again that was interested in my book. More on this later. Anyway, that is good, right? I get everything I've ever wanted? Well, unfortunately, talks about movie adaptation went sour because it was still during COVID. I mean, it was hard to go outside during COVID, let alone shoot a movie or an episode. At the time of this writing, Haunteds only have a couple months left before my contract with Wattpad expires. And yet, Haunteds is still stuck at 190k after 5 years of winning the What is 2020. Once my contract expires, I'm back to zero after being a writer for 5 years. Yeah, it's not a good place to be right now. What I think I should do is figure out the problem for my low readership. Now Wattpad gave Haunteds their all when promoting my book on their website. First, just winning the What is means your story would be featured on the homepage. Then there's the Asian Pacific Islander, it's like editor's pick but for Asian writers. Then editor's pick, then a 1-week feature in Wattpad Swim Lane and Wattpad Swim Lane PH. These are just some of the marketing Haunteds enjoyed that I remembered. Wattpad did their best to get my book in front of their readers, so Wattpad marketing was never the problem. The problem, I believe, is the genre itself. Anna Todd, aka Imaginator 1D, author of After, with a print and movie adaptation, and a whopping 724 million reads, first posted way back in 2013. The more recent Wattpad Webtoon Studio hits, Isabel Ronin, author of Chasing Red, with a staggering 261 million reads, a published book, a webcomic version, and an upcoming movie adaptation. My fellow Filipino writer, Eight More to Be Happy, author of Ang Mutya ng Section E, or The Muse of Section E, with another jaw-dropping 170 million reads, and it's been made into a series exclusively to Viva One app just this year. Now what do all these successful writers have in common? Answer: they all wrote romance story. And I think not one of them are What is winner, because What is winners have a logo in their cover art, like this. But What is winner or not, it didn't matter. Their stories reached such numbers with or without the active promotion Haunteds had enjoyed. So why is that? Because in Wattpad, romance reigns supreme. And horror is the polar opposite of romance, making horror the niche genre in Wattpad. And don't just take my word for it, just go to this website. Wattpad is very transparent with what genre does well and therefore gets prioritized for opportunities. So does that mean that horror stories have no chance in Wattpad? Of course not. In fact, I found some of these horror stories who currently have millions of reads. Natasha Preston's The Cellar is published and currently sitting at 30 million reads on Wattpad. Mason Fitz's Family Comes First have 21 million reads, while BL Jillian's Serial has 2.3 million reads. Although not quite the numbers popular romance stories get, those numbers are still huge. So again, I tried to find what these horror stories all have in common, and how they were able to do so well despite being in the horror genre. In The Cellar, you get kidnapped and locked in a cellar. That's scary. In Family Comes First, you get kidnapped, brought home, and forced to marry the kidnapper's son. That's scary and creepy. While BL Jillian's Serial is about a ballerina that is being stalked by a serial killer. That's scary and realistic. See what they all have in common? Their horror is so easy to understand compared to my horror, Lovecraftian horror. Picture this. You are lying outside on the grass, admiring the countless stars and celestial wonders, and as you stared up, you remembered your science class discussing about space, about how vast and seemingly infinite it is, about the immense emptiness in between the galaxies. Suddenly, you realize how small you are in comparison, making you feel uneasy, filling you with dread. You started thinking that nothing you do will ever matter. Then, another realization crept into your mind, making you grip the grass beside you, that you are not staring up at the skies, but rather looking down the gaping maw of an infinite abyss, with gravity the only thing preventing you from falling into it, lost between great distance of the void, forever. How did that make you feel? Were you filled with anxiety, fear, something that is hard to describe? If you said yes, then unfortunately, you understand the core of Lovecraftian horror. What makes Lovecraftian horror different from other horrors is that it does not rely on jump scares or monsters to terrify the audience, although those elements are present in this genre. But through our sciences and technology, we've managed to pull back the veil obscuring the nature of reality and came to a terrifying conclusion. We are not special. We are not important, but rather, we are so small and insignificant in comparison to the vast and indifferent nature of space that our collective experience since the dawn of humanity will, in the end, amount to nothing. Do you see the problem with marketing a Lovecraftian horror story? It's too wordy. It's not easy to understand, making it not easily digestible and therefore not relatable. You, my viewer, watching right now, how often do you have these feelings of insignificance and meaninglessness when looking at the stars at night? Do people even look up at the night sky anymore? Anyway, that's the number one problem with Lovecraftian horror. It's not relatable. Horror is already a niche genre, especially in Wattpad. As I've shown earlier, Lovecraftian horror is the niche among the already niched horror genre, and many people don't get it. It's hard to relate to something that you don't understand, right? So if it's not relatable, then no one is interested. And of course, the genre reflects the tropes and themes used in the story. For example, all of these three have murder, while mine has forbidden knowledge. The Cellar and Family Comes First has kidnapping, versus mine, which has the fear of the unknowable. Family Comes First has cannibalism, versus mine, which has existential dread. The Algerian serial has Stalker and Ballerina, versus mine, which has science versus the supernatural. So even the tropes and themes in my story do not overlap with these popular horror stories. So even if Wattpad promotes haunteds to their horror readers, the readers still might not be interested in haunteds because it's too different from the horror stories they like. It truly is.
Game over.
So anyway, those are the problems I have with marketing my book. So what do I do about it? First, let's tackle the big one, the genre. If horror, especially niche horror like Lovecraftian horror, doesn't do well in Wattpad, then the obvious solution is to start posting to other websites. The only reason I haven't yet is because again, Wattpad has the rights to Haunteds, so Haunteds remains exclusive to Wattpad for the duration of the contract. Who knows, maybe if my contract expires and they didn't renew it, Haunteds would do better in other sites. Maybe my contract expiring is actually a blessing in disguise. Please comment websites where you think readers would appreciate Lovecraftian horror stories like Haunteds. Second step, social media. We know of stories of writers or books going viral in social media, especially TikTok, which is why I started this YouTube channel to hopefully find readers who'd be interested in my book. Third step, drop the Lovecraftian horror or horror genre in general and market it as a mystery or suspense or thriller, like what Natasha Preston did with The Cellar in Amazon. Or is it possible, despite winning the Watties, despite garnering the interest of multiple studios, and despite comments like this, is it possible that maybe Haunteds just sucks? I guess to answer that question, you'd have to read it yourself. I left a link to Haunteds down below in the description and comment section for anyone wanting to try it themselves. If you do read Haunteds, please leave a comment in Wattpad or down here in the comment section. Tell me what you think about it. What genre do you think Haunteds should be? What makes Haunteds good or bad? It would really help me out a lot, as these are some of the questions Wattpad asked me when they were quote-unquote shopping Haunteds with their third-party partners for a movie deal. Anyway, we'll see what happens in the coming months. I plan on making haunteds related contents on this channel, so if you want to be updated, consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Hope to see you again in the next video.